Welcome to 247 Real Talk. I'm your host, Julian Perry. It's a pleasure to be here with you once again for another episode of the 247 Real Talk podcast. It is about 9:15 p.m., Wednesday, November 20th, as I look at the clock behind the camera. First thing you'll notice is the lighting is a little different. There's a lot of technology built into this room, and I have a light that's hooked up to one of the access points. And to make a long story short, once I optimize that access point, the light refused to adjust, so I have to use other lights around the room. But this is not bad, so hopefully you're okay with it. Um, this week we're going to talk about some serious issues again with the media. Not sure what I'm going to call it, but as we watch the aftermath of the elections and all these things that are coming out, I think it's really important that we pay attention to what's going on with us and our health and our understanding of what's to come next, etc. So sit back, relax, and I'll be right back. All right, so I'm back. Again, you see the chair at an awkward angle. Please excuse me. I'm trying to place my knee and my leg in the best position I can so I can keep bringing live episodes. It's not easy. I think the range of my knee is about 95%. I think I explained that last week or last episode. It may have moved a little bit more, so I don't think it's at the 100 degrees as yet, though. I don't think it's moved another full 5 degrees. Um, Generally, during the day, there are no more painkillers. I don't have pain during the day. A little discomfort. You wake up in the morning, it's a little tight before you start to move. Um, at night is the hardest time, and forgive my movements here because this position I'm in is not comfortable. At night is the hardest time. You kind of get that consistent and continuous ache in the knee, and that's when you have to take the painkiller for it to subside enough for you to get some rest. I have to sleep with this little apparatus that keeps the leg up because you don't want, there's still that slight chance of blood clotting that you want to make sure you avoid. The cut area is healing nicely. I have skin that heals very well, so it's almost down to just the mark with a few scabs actually, so that's pretty nice. Um, and it's taking me through the experience of what to expect next year when I have to do my left knee, albeit I know that each knee is different. Um, the left knee might be a little bit more challenging because I think the right knee, even though I'm right side dominant because I'm right-handed, I think that worked in my favor in that it caused me to sort of still depend on the knee enough that it seems to be responding to its responsibility as the dominant side. So we'll see how that works. And people ask me whether, after going through this experience, if I would go through it again. The answer is yes, because it's not about the now, it's about the future and what my life will be like and the quality of life and being able to walk well into my old age, as my father would say, God spare life. Um, and doing so without pain. I tell many people that before I had the surgery, I had pain from about, I don't know, when I got up in the morning and stepped off the bed, the ache started. Within an hour, I was in severe pain, and that lasted the entire day until I got off my feet. And there are many nights when I was in bed where just having the blanket touch my knee would be painful because the whole area was so sore from its activity during the day. So I have less pain now, even though I'm recovering from total knee replacement. Tomorrow evening, I go for my first outpatient physical therapy session. I'm trying to mentally prepare myself because I know their job is to stretch my knee with some amount of discomfort, of course, to get it back to where it needs to be. But I'm up for it. I had a delivery today that I needed on a skid that I needed to go in front of my garage workshop. And so two vehicles needed to be moved, and I moved them. So I gave myself that test. I was able to back them out and bring them back in after the delivery. I did find out that I drive a full-sized Tundra Crew Max with the long beds. I drive a very big vehicle, and I found that I wasn't able to apply adequate pressure to the brake should I need to stop abruptly or even random stopping at a stop sign. I think I'm not ready for that. I didn't have the strength in the need to apply the pressure to the brake. So I know that in emergency I can move the vehicle. I'm just not ready for driving yet. Anyway, that's 6 minutes of our time taken up with my personal updates. I'm sure I've left stuff out, but this is to be continued, right? This will continue every week, and you'll walk through or live through my progress with me. I'll let you know how next week how the PT went and what my expectations are for the next 2 to 3 months. But I want to touch on another subject this episode, the main subject, and that is how much we are being played by both sides in this political atmosphere, and how much the media is using its power over our minds to manipulate our emotions, to manipulate our perspectives, to manipulate our both hindsight and our vision of the future, because it's all based on this information we gobble up. When I listen to some of the interviews of for people, and I'm past the point of picking out any candidate. The election is over. We have a president-elect. Maybe there'll be another time and place to talk about some of the interviews people have sent me and some of the ignorance I've heard. Some of the ignorance I've heard when people explain why they're voting for one candidate or the other. But what I'm noticing is that every celebrity who has a platform has come out to speak pro-Democrat or pro-Republican. And I realize that they have learned us better than we know ourselves. One of the things that I've found out is how much a celebrity can manipulate individuals' behavior, can command large audiences, can influence large groups of people. And sometimes it's the fight of one celebrity over another, right? I mean, if we step back for a moment, we look at celebrities who have had massive audiences at their performances. We'll think about Beyonce and Taylor Swift, right? Taylor Swift, both of whom came out for candidate Harris, but both of whom collectively were not able to even garner enough of the women's vote. And so, as I ponder all these things, I recognize that there is an orchestrated effort on both sides to play the population of the United States of America and beyond the world. I've often spoken about the aristocracy of Washington, D.C. And I referred one time to a country in South America where the country, its population was in turmoil, where the population was divided between the two leaders, the opposition and the president. And then it leaked out that the opposition leader and the president were not only best buddies, but while the population was literally killing each other, massacring each other, they were hanging out in their palatial surroundings, sipping, whiskey together and talking about what they would do for each other and each other's future. That is sort of what's going on in our society today. I remember leading up to the elections, as a podcaster, I have to have eyes that are open wide, and I have to be accepting of all things and be very independent if I want to be real talk. And so I looked at many outlets, many news outlets across the United States and beyond, foreign news outlets. And what I saw without, blatantly was those that were Democratic would come out with their polls and their projections. And for the Democrats, they would come up with one projection that would put candidate Harris ahead, even in the swing states. And you would see the response on social media of people becoming elated. And then there's another news outlet, or even the same, will come out with another poll saying people need to vote because candidate Harris is trailing. And you would watch the emotions online, the comments all drop and sink. And when you looked at the relationship between the two, you realize that the media basically, if you could draw it out, if you could depict it in some art form, was sort of dangling the people left and right. And since they have this kind of power, you have to wonder how many people are using this power for good. How many people are watching us in amusement as puppets while they sit on their thrones making money? Because make no mistake, no matter which side of the aisle you're on, the news media, the politicians, all these people are making money off of us. I watched Republican stations come out and even publicly with the things that President-elect Trump was going through in the justice system, the way they would twist and turn it and make some of the harshest statements he had made seem like the best things for this country, and watch thousands and tens of thousands of people go, yeah. I watched women who will come out in tears and talk about their bodies and abortion rights, and watch other women, condemn them for doing so, all because the news media would feed information. I've watched people in our society for years who have come out as celebrities and have told all of us that the earth is flat. I've watched a show on TV of someone actually got airtime to talk about how the earth is flat and where the edge of the earth is, and if you go any further, you will fall off the earth. Even though we've had space vehicles, that rotate the earth and tell us it's round, these people are convinced and have enough followers in the thousands who believe that, I forgot where it is they said they went, but it was so cold and it was impassable by humans. But if you went past there, you'd fall off the earth into, I don't know where, into space, I guess. And people believe this. So what is happening is the media, the politicians, everyone has realized that to get themselves power and money, it's all behind manipulating the population, because the population has been so manipulated, so brainwashed, and has given up its right to be educated and self-thinking to powers beyond their own minds, that they can manipulate us into supporting one candidate or another, one ideology or another, and spending our hard-earned money to make them richer while we watch them pretend, put on this theatrics in public as one party against another, and it's all to our detriment. Look at the immigration issue. I have come on here before and talked about the borders and the fact that I was very concerned that people were coming into the borders, that we had no proper vetting in place, and that was my concern. But we're talking about President-elect Trump talking about mass deportation. Okay, if you're talking about mass deportation of people who came here illegally and have no status, let's debate that and determine how you're going to do that and who really falls in that category. But that's not the conversation I want to have at this moment. The conversation I want to have at this moment is deporting parents and deporting kids who were born in America. Because he says those parents came here illegally just to have those children. All of that may be true, but you cannot take away the birthplace of someone. When those children were born, they got a birth certificate at the hospital. They have every single right that says they were born on American soil. And irrespective of how their parents got here, you cannot now tell those children they're not American. All they know is America. Were never born and raised from where their parents came. How can you possibly tell them that? What about kids who came here, were born here, and through some tragedy, their parents had died? They came here with a single mother. The child was born here. The mother's been raising the child here, American born child. The mother died. You're going to deport that child? To where? To whom? I mean, why is it okay for rich people to circumvent our tax laws, to circumvent our financial system, to use loopholes, to gain wealth, to boast about it publicly and say, well, I'm in this percentage or percentile of rich, and therefore those laws don't apply to me? Why is it okay to gain wealth by flouting and circumventing laws, financial laws, tax laws, but it is not okay for someone to do the same with an immigration law and then have a child that was legally born here? Why is it that everything that politicians in Washington seem to want to do, they're able to sell to a selfish set of us who are so self-minded and so selfish that we can't see beyond what we have? Every time the argument comes out about immigrants, we always turn to every single person in the United States of America and say, go back far enough in your ancestry, and you will find that you have an ancestor who was an immigrant. Some who came here by means where there were no real immigration processes in place. They came and they stayed. Something that immigrants can't do or migrants can't do now. So we are all descendants of immigrants, no matter how you want to turn it. But then the person will argue with me and say, well, okay, if my ancestors were immigrants, I was born here in America. Well, so were those children of the parents who came in illegally. So what makes you, someone who was born here in the United States of America, able to detach yourself from your ancestor who came here possibly illegally? But now in 2024, it's not okay. We have to find better ways to deal with human beings. Yes, we can't have people flooding into the United States of America illegally. That's not going to work. I'm totally against that. As myself, as a proud citizen of the United States, I wasn't born here. I came here a legal way. I've been here and I've contributed legally, and I want to think progressively to this nation. I love being American, but I understand the plight of human beings. I understand that our place and our legacy has to always resemble what is supposed to be true about the United States of America. We have to learn to deal with humans in a humane way. I'm not saying that we should be foolish. I'm saying that when you do things like mass deportations, you're going to have a lot of innocent people caught up in there. You're going to destroy the lives of a lot of families. To claim that we have a right to do so when our ancestors probably didn't have a right to be here. Whatever you believe in. And a lot of the conservatives of this country and liberals are people who at least claim to believe in God. Whenever we have events, every one of them in Washington and everywhere else in the country want to stand up and want to end their speeches with God bless America. What does that really mean? If you're asking God to bless America and Americans, then shouldn't we behave like children of God? Or maybe we feel it's okay to ask for blessings that we don't deserve because our behavior, our behavior towards each other, our acts of inhumanity should not allow us to utter the words, God bless America and God bless those of the United States of America. We have to be a nation of compassion and fairness, understanding that whatever we do has to be done to the benefit of the people in a righteous manner? Why is it we can have elections and elect politicians who completely don't care for one moment about the people who voted for them? All they care about is using the votes of those people to get into power and to hold on to power. There are many videos of candidates talking about they don't need votes, they have enough votes. How? Everyone elected is by the people, for the people. And the media, which is the whole, I know I digressed a little bit, but the media has a massive role to play in uniting Americans. I remember the days when you looked at media and stations were never identified by their political ideology. Now, depending on whether you're Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, someone will tell you, listen to CNN or listen to Fox or listen to NBC or listen to Al Jazeera or listen. Yes, because each channel has completely, each station has completely aligned with one side or the other. But they call themselves news outlets and impartial news outlets at that. They call themselves journalists. When you see journalists of America get captured abroad and these and go through egregious treatment, they always tell you that they went to these dangerous places in the pursuit of the truth. But yet none of them seem to want to pursue the truth right where they're living, right where charity begins at home in the United States of America. Why doesn't NBC or Fox or CNN or whatever report on the facts? And why are they not able to blast the Democrats when they do something wrong and the Republicans when they do something wrong, so that no candidate can have a news outlet of preference, because the news outlets are staying true to their craft, true to their pledge of journalism, true to their love that they started out with of wanting to report what? The news. And what about the news? The truth. Many journalists go put their lives on the line to do what? Find the truth, only to come back here and join a news outlet or be part of a news outlet that is heavily involved in promoting falsehoods to benefit one ideology or the other, one candidate or the other. So what do? When did we, the people of the United States of America, lose our ability to think for ourselves? When did we lose what truly made us honorable citizens of the United States of America, and that is a nation that is grounded in ethics, morals, and righteousness? Why is it we can't say, I like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 about this candidate, but 6 through 10 has to go because they do not align with righteousness? Why is it we're willing to hurt and kill each other in the population over a candidate because one person says, I don't agree with that candidate's behavior, or I think that candidate is not fit for office, or and that's on both sides of the aisle. Why is it politicians in Washington are willing to have their favorite projects or goals and put us, the people, at risk to accomplish them, and to make deals that hurt us just for themselves, for their achievements, for their growth in wealth and power? Why do we keep forgetting that the first word in the United States of America is united? Why do we keep forgetting that we, the people, have the power if we can put aside race, creed, color, gender, and sexual orientation and simply choose the one thing that we all have in common, and that is humanity? We are all human beings. Even those who don't want to believe in Almighty God, you are still a human being. And since we all have that in common, that's the one thing we can claim in common. Well, not the one, there are more than that, but that's one generalization. That's one that's enough. We can also claim the fact that life here is finite. But not to use a morbid analogy, the one thing we can claim is humanity and say, if it doesn't matter my race, creed, color, gender, sexual orientation, If someone hits me in the head with a baseball bat, it's going to hurt. None of the other things matter, except that I'm a human being who feels pain. And if we can use that common ground to unite and look at what decisions are being made in Washington and how humane they are there to us as United States of America. Even if you wanted to say, let's use citizens of the United States of America as primary, not forgetting immigrants, but making sure that we start somewhere, then at least, and I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, I'm just saying I'm clutching at straws, hoping that somehow for a miracle that people will start to put aside this race, creed, and color and this divisiveness and recognize that we have the power. It has already been showcased 2 weeks ago when we had a candidate win the elections by popular vote. By popular vote means the majority of people who voted for that candidate. What does that say to you and your vote who voted for that candidate? You have power in numbers. Use that power in numbers to remind Washington that it's for the people, by the people. Use that power in numbers to tell the news media outlets, if you want our money, if you want to keep your advertisers who need to make money from our purchases, then you're going to start behaving like a responsible media, not manipulating people by polls and all this nonsense, but speaking the truth. Or we're going to stop supporting your advertisers. If we stop supporting your advertisers, they start getting hurt, they're going to pull their support of your channel. That's not only going to hurt your channel, but that's going to start to hurt the people who support that, who work at the channel. There's a ripple effect when you start pulling wealth. Let's use our wealth as people to build a nation and to build businesses and news outlets who tell us like it is, whether we like it or not. Because at the end of the day, we might say, well, I didn't want to hear that, but I know it's the truth. Journalism used to be something that was pure. Now it's caught up, like I said, in all this, how do I rise? I mean, look at what journalists make. There's some news anchors making $20 million a year and reporting in a partisan manner. They're forsaken their grounding. They're forsaken their whole essence of who they are as a journalist and why they went into that profession, for the almighty dollar, for the fancy parties with the celebrities. And we admire these people so much that we will say, I gotta feed my kids, I gotta pay rent, I gotta pay light, I gotta pay gas. I'm gonna pay half my gas bill this month so I can go see this artist in concert. Really? Meanwhile, the artist you're going to see is making millions or billions of dollars, not putting one red cent in your pocket. When you come back from the concert, smiling, drinking, happy, laughing, you're going to wake up the next day sober and that half that gas bill still needs to be paid. What are we doing? We are using the power of the people that we can use to help us to succeed, to use our power to change Washington, to make sure that candidates who promise to destroy us never get a chance to do so, to make sure that Washington politicians who don't do the right thing for their constituents never get a chance to do the wrong thing. And we instead will take that money and answer a text message on our phone that says, this political candidate is about to lose. Why don't you give us $10 or $15 to help him win? Really? These candidates have dinners, they have events, they raise millions of dollars. And most of the time when you look at them, they're not doing anything during their term to help us. I mean, let's be honest with you. I'm going to bring on a guest here probably soon in the future to talk about, for instance, the state of both parties, the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. The weakness of one and how vicious the other one is. And the fact that no one cares about us, the people, either side of the aisle. For those of us, and I say us of the United States of America, let's keep it independent. Those of us who voted for President-elect Trump, whoever in the population of us, citizens of the United States of America, out of the what, 150 million votes or whatever that were cast, do you think he cares about you individually? Is your situation going to change for the better, or is it going to get worse? Have you noticed that for certain candidates, rich people complain because they're not making enough money or they're not getting richer? And for certain candidates, poor people complain because when that candidate's in power, they get poorer and the wealth gap opens. For those of you who voted for a candidate because of race, creed, or color, when the election is over and you settle back into your reality, because this dust is going to clear, will your bottom line change? Will you all of a sudden be able to afford more, to live a better life, because you went out and almost massacred another human being for a candidate who doesn't know you exist? Or for the reason of race, creed, color, sexual orientation, morals, ethics, or lack thereof? Common sense has to prevail. We have to use the power we have to demonstrate to all those in power that they actually don't have the power. We do. I don't want us to go back to the days where we have to almost use the power of segregation to shake people up and make them recognize that this nation is not what it used to be. And the people who we call minorities, people of color, are actually the majority of people. At the end of the day, even though my people of color represent less wealth than the top, I forgot what percentages of wealthy people who are not people of color, who are Caucasian, the people of color collectively can determine the wealth of those who are wealthy. Let that sink in for a moment. And it starts by all of us getting involved. The next time you go to buy something, think of who you're buying it from. I don't want to call out businesses here because I think that would be unfair to some people who may be very wealthy now, but who started as entrepreneurs and had great business models. I'm not here to hurt anyone. When you think about the wealth of some people out there who are in sales or whatever, what would happen if a minority company with no political affiliation opened up the same business, a mirror sort of model, and we all decided to support that one and turn away from the powerful, rich business because of its affiliation with political ideology that's not for the benefit of the people? What do you think would happen? I will tell you what will happen. That wealthy business would not lose. Wait a minute, does that make sense? Yes, it does. Because the minute you start to hurt a wealthy business in its pocket, they're going to start doing what they need to do to help us. The minute we start to show force as the citizens of the United States of America in doing what's best for United States of America and the people of the United States of America, those who influence, the wealthiest who influence, will start paying attention because we will be impacting their bottom line. We have to learn to treat each other as human beings. We have to learn that where we have come now, where we have worked so hard to try to level the playing field so we look at each other as humans and not as race, creed, color, sexual orientation, we cannot allow those things to be reversed or to be watered down. And the power to do so still lies with us, the people. Even if we have a divisiveness in the nation, let's call it now, I don't know, 58-42. The 42% who if we're the ones who are standing for what's righteous, don't think because you're the small percentage that you can't make enough of an impact to overwhelm the 58. A dollar is a dollar. A dream is a dream. We can make both happen. But we have to get up, stand up, be heard, make sure that we're noticed, come together and unite in a peaceful and powerful way to make sure that everyone recognizes that the game is up, that all the promises and all the things you said you're going to do don't matter unless we approve it. We, the citizens of the United States of America. Not people on both sides of our Congress who decide, you know what, let's make a decision. We'll shove it down the throats of people of America. And we know that we have manipulated them so much that they're either going to listen to us, even when we are hurting them. They're going to listen to us. And they're going to do what we need them to do. They're going to support us still. So who cares about them? I remember one time years ago being in another country and watching a president give a speech. And he at that point had banned a lot of stuff in the country, and people were struggling. And people were complaining every day, but the man had the gift of gab. And he would hold rallies and tens of thousands of people would attend. And in that one speech, he would basically say in a nutshell, I'm going to take away more than 50% of your basic essentials. And when he was done, the whole crowd was going, yeah, in support of him. Manipulation of the mind. When we stop thinking for ourselves and start depending on others to think for us, is the day we lose. Being American, being a proud citizen of the United States of America, and making lives better for each other and for those to come does not lie in the hands of politicians, no matter how powerful they think they are. No matter how many news outlets they go on, no matter how many shows they go on, no matter how many rallies they hold, no matter how many debates they have, no matter how many times they make it seem that they can do something. They tell us so much of what they can do that we forget as a people how much we can do. I would say to those who are feeling precarious at this moment, not to panic, but to dig down deep inside and recognize that you can join me or any other tens of thousands of podcasts and activists out there who are looking for people to join up with, and then for all of us to collaborate into a massive force of a righteous voice. Stop sitting on the sidelines and hoping something will change. Your Creator, the Almighty God, gave you will and voice. He gave you the opportunity to make choices for yourself. And what happens in your life, whether it be in the political arena or every single day when you wake up, long as He gives you breath and an opportunity for a new day, you have a big part in determining how that day goes. Yes, there are things that happen beyond our control. But there's so many things that we can mold and shape where we choose not to do them. We choose just to go with the flow and let external forces determine not only our actions, but even our emotions. We have a good day or a bad day depending on what someone else does. We don't wake up determined that this is going to be a good day because no matter what, I know how to respond and act. Stop letting media outlets not only form your opinions, but use you as a puppet to go on social media and populate and make popular their foolish ideology and their efforts to divide us forever. All of this is about their wealth, their riches, and their power. If we as the people of the United States of America wait too late to recognize what's being done to us, then we're going to deserve everything that happens to us. Be calm. Look at the power we have within. Exercise it. For those of us who us, United States of America, I want to make this sure that I'm being independent at all times. For those of us who voted for the president-elect, there are many things that you think that you will get out of voting or what's promised because that's what they promise. What are you going to do when those things don't happen? What are you going to do when those things actually hurt you? Are you going to make your voices known? Are you going to disappear into a corner? Or are you going to continue to support what's wrong, even though it's hurting you and causing you pain, on you, on your family, and ultimately on your generations and generations to come? We have to stand up. What I do on this podcast is the little I can stand. I'm one person. But if I can do this, you can do this. Maybe not in a podcast, but in making your voice be heard. I've urged you to contact me, podcast@247realtalk.net, in a respectful, but in an effort to join and to coalesce and to grow. Become an activist, not by absorbing your life into this. You don't have to. I have lots of other things going on in my life. This is not the focus of it, but this is a big part of it. And it's important to me, I always tell you, that I continue to do this so that I earn my right to occupy a space on this earth. I'm going to leave you with the same thing this week as I left you last week. For all of you and all of us who claim, God bless America. For all of you and all of us who go into churches, who get into public places, we bow our heads and we fold our arms and we say, Almighty God. For all of us who hide our cruelty, our insincerity behind those words, thy will be done. Make no mistake that nothing that's going on right now in this world is or was a surprise to God. If you understand your Creator, if you understand who you are, whose you are, then join me and watch how God works. Because His ways are so much bigger than ours that what we cannot conceive to happen is just another day with Jesus. Stand with me. Let's move forward together. Be kind, be true, be honest, be willing to stand for righteousness and take notice and make sure that all these media outlets out there take notice that their oath of journalism was to righteousness. And until they get back to that, they've lost our support. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. We'll see what comes up next week. We know it'll include health progress on my part, and then something about what's going on right now, because I think we need to hold each other's hands as we navigate the next few years in our lives and the lives of our children and generations to come. So until the next time, until next week, please take care of yourselves. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your household. Oh, I have to mention that a welcome again to the many new subscribers. I've seen that after during the election, during the ramp up the election, I lost quite a few, but many have either rejoined or I have a set of new. And I thank you for the privilege of being a part of your lives and a part of your conversations and what form the future. Until the next time, take care of yourselves and each other.